The song was Heart's answer to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. We talk Mistral Wind on Rock History Music. Did you know when you guys were laying that down, did you know that, wait a minute, there's something about this one? I mean, there was a lot on that album, but like, Cook with Fire, starting off with a live, I mean, that was crazy, but I love that. Tell me about Mistral Wind.
Yeah, I mean, when you're recording it and learning it, first of all, when you're learning it, you're kind of going, oh, this is interesting. I like that, it's kind of got some progressive elements in it and all that kind of stuff.
And it's ominous. It had an ominous feel to it.
Yeah. And you're listening to the words and, and it goes from really quiet and then it gets really loud. And then there's big, gigantic drum fills and everything. And, you kind of understand. And what I did with my bass part was Mike laid down the drum part, and then I took that drum part home and listened to it over and over and over, and then I came up with my part. And once I did my part, and then Roger and Howard finalized their guitar parts and stuff.
Well, the opening guitar part is Nancy's creation, and we were always looking for something odd, not that you've heard before, that kind of sticks out and makes your ear tweak a little bit. And that intro really does that. And it's fun to be in the minor domain. And when you use like 9 chords, that's a kind of a mysterious kind of realm. So minor 9th chords really take you to a different place than you usually go, because most songs are major or minor. So in that sense, there is an air of potentially foreboding or mystery. It's up to the listener from their perspective. What do they project on that sound? But lyrically, it takes you to a place that doesn't exist on earth except in the hearts and souls of those who are able to perceive that fictional place.
Yeah.
So when they created that imagery through the lyrics of that place, then the music naturally wanted to support that. So they created that basic framework, and then we would give them cassettes of licks and things that we had, and I think we gave them a cassette of the big rock part that comes in, which was my creation. And so when they put those two aspects together, the dog and the butterfly, what a magic chemistry in the context of taking the listener out of this world.
So there wasn't a thought of, because I mean, all us guys when we were growing up said, not that it doesn't sound like Stairway to Heaven, because nothing sounds, but there was an element of going into a house and opening a door and going, oh, look what's in here. Stairway to Heaven did that, and you open another, oh my God, it's like a bridge, it's like a non-ending bridges. Not that it was, but there was a surprise in Mistral Wind. There was a surprise after a surprise, as if you're going through, to me anyway, personally, so many doors of going, this is like a journey. This is, and it's a grand piece of music.
Yeah.
So there's some really clever lyrics too.
I think that those songs don't just fall out of the sky. You're not rained Mistral Winds. I mean, they're a very special song that you wish that there were more of those songs just in your back pocket, but you have to have a certain kind of an attitude to be willing to explore those kinds of songs, a style or whatever you want to call it, and at least be able to think in the Mistral Wind way. You have to be receptive to that instead of listening to a record company guy or listening to the radio and being influenced by what the latest thing is and trying to follow that up, or trying to be just be commercialized, being too influenced by what the latest hip thing is to do, and just sort of stick with what is exciting for you and what's working for you and the band. Then I think you have a better shot at taking your audience with you. And again, it's you're very lucky if you have that kind of a band, because not all bands have that setup. They can't work from that. They put out this song does well. Every other song has got to sound almost like this song, because they kind of did it to themselves. Nobody's going to turn the Fame down, but if it's working, it's very hard to go, let's not do that again when the money starts rolling in.
I just talked to Fee Waybill a few days ago when he was talking about being produced by David Foster, and the guys went nuts. Same thing as Peter Cetera. When the hits started coming, and David Foster has this way of picking one person in the band, and he picked Fee to write with, and Steve Lukather to do the guitar licks on, like She's a Beauty and the Talk to You Later. He just comes in and does that. He's not even in the freaking band, but that's that's what Luke does. But the band went crazy. See, there's that thing. The band said, well, wait a minute, you're not the leader of the band to him. He's not. Todd Rundgren's coming back for the next album. Meanwhile, that net tanked. And I can understand both sides of it, but you're in a band because you want to be in a band, and it's a cohesive unit. But they had hits. They had big hits. They didn't know. What do we do with this? By the way, how many times you've been told Mistral wins your Stairway to Heaven? Heart's Stairway to Heaven.
Well, Steve Fossen, when he introduces a song, the way he presents it is certainly like our classic album cut song. I believe that too. Yeah.
Why do you? Sorry, no. Go ahead, please.
Well, I was just going to your point that you were. We forget. I think people forget too that sometimes when something doesn't work, or something really does work, they try to, these guys just sit around the corporate boardroom table and try to figure out why. They desperately want to know why this worked. And they forget, I think most of the time they forget one thing, and that is timing. Where this thing happened at what period of time in history. That has so much to do with. And you can't predict that. You can't. All you can do is look at it once it's gone by. And even then, I don't think most of the time people consider the timing of it, when it happened. It's like when the whole disco thing happened versus when the punk thing happened. You try to predict. They do it with clothes, music, with so many things. They try to predict timing of something changing, or are people burned out? It's time for something new to happen. That's something that they just desperately try to figure out. What do we do now? And they don't take into account. I don't think most of the time they do anyway. Maybe some guys do, but it's when you do this, and it's a lot of times it's when you do it. It's not necessarily when everybody else is doing it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but for us, Mistral Wind just happened to happen then. It came on that record. That record had a certain vibe to it, and that's how that magical thing sort of comes together. Yeah.
Well, you ever notice that you ever notice on Spotify, you'll notice that sometimes a band's biggest hit is not their biggest hit on Spotify. Like, it's changed. Like, there's a song will stand the test of time, even though it wasn't their biggest hit. Sometimes it's not. It's like their fourth biggest hit that becomes their biggest. I was expecting Talk to You Later to be the biggest Tubes hit, and She's a Beauty is like 4 times bigger. Like, and by the way, Barracuda is the biggest for Heart. You probably already know that.
Yeah. I used to play with Richard Marx, and he did Fee and Richard wrote some stuff together. Yeah.
They're very close. He considers, I didn't know this till last week. He considers Richard Marx his best friend. He's godfather to 3 of his kids. I'm going, what? I don't know. We'll have more from Michael DeRozier, bassist Steve Fossen, guitarist Roger Fisher, and former Heart manager Mike Fisher coming up the next few days. Keep in mind, the Fisher brothers interview was from 2 years ago. And as we've said before, any of the things that the guys have said about their former bandmates, Ann and Nancy Wilson, well, Ann and Nancy are more than willing to come on the channel and talk about their sides of the story. Remember the 2 Ps if you want to support Rock History Music. You can join our Patreon to get early access to all our videos, or you can simply make a donation via the PayPal links, or buy a t-shirt. All the links are in the description, and all the links for the Heart members and Heart also in the description. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music.